Hey, warrior. Yeah, you, the one who's utterly exhausted from that constant feeling of being stuck in a rut, unable to move forward no matter how hard you try. You've been putting in the effort to overhaul your life, haven't you? Perhaps you've pored over countless self-improvement books, binge-watched hours of motivational speeches and videos, meticulously set personal goals, and even attempted to cultivate a more positive outlook on things. But despite all that, nothing seems to hold. The progress fades away quickly, leaving you right back where you started. Now, pause for a moment and really reflect on this scenario. Imagine one individual who loses his job and completely falls apart. He points fingers at the economy for his misfortune, harbors deep resentment toward his former boss, and descends into a deep, overwhelming spiral of self-pity and despair. Contrast that with another person facing the exact same setback. Instead of crumbling under the pressure, he rises earlier each day, dedicates time to sharpening his professional skills, and boldly reinvents his entire career path in life. It's the identical event, yet the reactions couldn't be more polar opposite. What accounts for this stark difference? The answer is straightforward, though it hits hard like a punch to the gut. It's not the circumstances of life itself that shatter us, it's our mindset that allows those circumstances to break through our defenses. And this is precisely why the ancient philosophy of Stoicism has surged in relevance in our modern era more than ever before. In a world that's overwhelmingly noisy, chaotic, and overflowing with endless excuses, constant distractions, and a pervasive culture of emotional fragility and weakness, Stoicism serves as a powerful reminder that true control lies within you, not in fleeting feelings, not in societal pressures, not in the baggage of your past experiences. You see, the real journey to fixing your life doesn't kick off with external changes like landing a better job, mending broken relationships, or accumulating more wealth. No, it all begins right here, in the depths of your mind. Once you fix and strengthen your mindset, everything else in your life naturally begins to fall into place and align accordingly. But I must caution you up front, the rules and principles we're about to delve into aren't the kind of soft, comforting advice you'd find in feel-good self-help seminars. These are brutal, no-nonsense truths designed to confront and dismantle your ego head-on, delivering a metaphorical punch that forces self-reflection. They're not tailored for those who are easily offended or prefer sugar-coated platitudes. Instead, they're crafted for individuals like you, who are genuinely sick and tired of feeling trapped in mediocrity, weary of operating on autopilot without purpose, and fed up with emotionally crumbling every single time life throws a curveball or things don't unfold exactly as planned. If that description resonates with you on a deep level, then congratulations, you're precisely in the spot where real transformation can begin. In this video, I'll carefully guide you through 10 essential Stoic rules that are specifically designed to empower you to reclaim full control over your emotions, your daily habits, your long-term goals, and ultimately, the trajectory of your entire life. Each of these rules draws direct inspiration from the profound teachings of legendary Stoic philosophers such as Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and the foundational pillars of ancient Stoic philosophy. However, we'll break them down into simple, accessible modern language that anyone can comprehend and immediately apply to their everyday situations. No need for a degree in philosophy or years of scholarly study. We'll explore in-depth topics like building emotional strength and resilience, cultivating unyielding mental discipline, fostering greater self-awareness, and navigating the often painful yet necessary process of evolving into the person you were truly meant to become. And to make each rule even more impactful, I'll include a genuine Stoic quote or core principle, not merely as ornamental flair, but as a practical tool for you to meditate on, internalize, and actively live by in your daily life. So, before we jump into rule number 1, here's what I expect from you as a commitment to this journey. If you're truly ready to stop shifting blame onto the external world and instead focus on rebuilding yourself from the inside out, if you're prepared to conquer and master your emotions rather than allowing them to dictate and control your every move, if you're committed to fixing your mind as the foundation for fixing your life, then prove it by dropping this powerful affirmation in the comments section right now. I will no longer live at the mercy of my emotions. Additionally, don't forget to show your support by liking this video, leaving a thoughtful comment below, sharing it with a friend or loved one who could benefit from this wisdom, and subscribing to the channel for more content centered on Stoic-based strategies for life improvement. And most crucially, resist the urge to skip ahead or fast forward through any section of this video. Every rule is interconnected, building upon the previous one, and each has the potential to profoundly shift the way you perceive and approach the world. Let's get started. Music. Rule 1. Stop negotiating with your weakness. You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. And no one can keep you from this. Marcus Aurelius. One of the most critical and common mistakes people make when embarking on the path to fixing their lives is this deeply ingrained habit. They attempt to negotiate or bargain with their own weaknesses, as if striking a deal could somehow make the flaws disappear without effort. They rationalize to themselves with thoughts like, just one more hour of sleep won't derail my entire day, or I'll definitely start my new diet regimen tomorrow when I'm more prepared, or even, I'll stop reaching out to that person after this one final message. What they fail to recognize is that every single instance of negotiating with weakness inevitably results in weakness emerging victorious. And when this pattern repeats frequently enough over time, that weakness doesn't just linger, it evolves into a core part of your identity, shaping who you become. Take a moment to contemplate this deeply. The strongest, most empowered version of yourself, the one that's disciplined, laser-focused, radiating confidence, isn't some elusive mystery hidden away in the shadows. It's simply being suffocated and suppressed beneath layers upon layers of accumulated comfort zones, self-justifying excuses, and unchecked emotional indulgences that have built up over the years. You simply cannot unlock and embody that superior version of yourself if you continue to surrender and give in every time life presents a challenge or demands discomfort. You cannot truly fix and transform your life if you keep folding under pressure whenever feelings of boredom, loneliness, or general unease arise. The ancient Stoics grasped this concept with perfect clarity and precision. They didn't pursue lives of perpetual ease and comfort. Instead, they deliberately trained themselves to embrace and prepare for adversity, understanding that every moment of suffering endured, every hardship overcome, and every temptation successfully resisted represented a profound victory for the soul and a step toward inner fortitude. Now, turn the lens inward and ask yourself these probing questions. When your morning alarm blares, do you rise immediately like a disciplined warrior ready to seize the day, or do you allow your fleeting emotions to press the snooze button repeatedly? When waves of anxiety wash over you, do you sit with that discomfort, allowing it to teach you and ultimately making you stronger, or do you immediately seek escape through distractions like endless social media scrolling or emotional eating? When you're tempted to revert to harmful old habits, do you draw a firm line and hold your ground, or do you cave with the excuse of, just one more time? Here's the unvarnished, brutal truth that you need to internalize. You will never succeed in fixing your life until you decisively eliminate and kill off the weaker version of yourself that's perpetually manufacturing excuses and justifications. There can be no genuine peace without the foundation of discipline. There is no path to greatness without making meaningful sacrifices along the way. And there is absolutely no way to cultivate a strong, resilient mind without directly confronting your own weaknesses head-on and declaring with conviction, not today, not ever again. Every time you postpone or delay tapping into your full potential, you're not merely wasting precious time, you're actively betraying the future self you're capable of becoming. So, the very next time you're faced with the temptation to linger in bed a bit longer, to send that message to a toxic individual, or to squander yet another day in unproductive pursuits, resist the urge to reason with it, argue against it, or explain it away with clever rationalizations. Instead, get up immediately, shut down the impulse firmly, and consciously choose strength and resolve over fleeting comfort, because that's exactly how true warriors are forged, one deliberate action at a time. And it doesn't matter how far behind you might feel right now or how many failures litter your past, the instant you cease all negotiations with weakness, the process of genuine healing and self-reconstruction begins in earnest. To solidify this commitment, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments below: no more deals with weakness. I choose strength. Rule 2. Control your reactions or be controlled by them. It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Epictetus. Visualize this common yet revealing situation. Two individuals are subjected to the exact same insult or criticism. One person laughs it off effortlessly, treating it as insignificant and moving on without a second thought. The other, however, internalizes it deeply, carrying the weight of those words like a sharp knife embedded in their chest, ruminating on it for weeks or even months. It's the same word spoken in the same moment, yet it creates entirely different emotional realities for each person. That's because the true source of pain isn't the insult itself, it's your personal reaction and interpretation of it that inflicts the harm. Similarly, it's not the frustrating traffic jam that ruins your day, the painful breakup that leaves you devastated, the rude coworker who tests your patience, or the stinging failure that knocks you down. It's how you choose to interpret those events and respond to them that ultimately determines your emotional well-being and state of mind. The majority of people unwittingly live as slaves to their emotions, allowing their inner peace to be hijacked and disrupted by the smallest, most trivial moments throughout the day. They freely hand over control of their mood and mental state to complete strangers, to anonymous online comments, or to circumstances entirely beyond their influence. But the core tenet of Stoicism teaches the exact opposite. While you can't always dictate or control what happens to you in life, you absolutely can control how you respond to those happenings. Let that profound realization sink in deeply. Every single time you snap at someone in anger, every instance you overthink a situation into oblivion, every moment you allow an external event to send you into a downward spiral, you're voluntarily relinquishing your personal power. And what's even more detrimental is that this makes you predictable and vulnerable. People who can't regulate their reactions become easy targets for manipulation, like puppets whose strings can be pulled to elicit explosions of anger, tears of sadness, panic attacks, or complete freezes in decision-making. Do you really want to continue living in such a reactive, uncontrolled manner? Marcus Aurelius made it a daily practice to remind himself of this truth: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, how exactly do you begin to take back this control? Step 1. Intentionally slow down your reactions in the heat of the moment. The instant you feel triggered or provoked, pause deliberately, take a deep breath to center yourself, and mentally step back from the situation to gain perspective. Ask yourself a key question: what part of this do I actually have control over? If the answer reveals that nothing external is within your grasp, then recognize that the only true battlefield is the one inside your mind. Step 2. Learn to separate objective facts from the subjective emotions they evoke. For example, she said, "Something rude is a neutral fact. But I'm not good enough because of what she said is a self-imposed story you've constructed in your head." Train yourself over time to view situations with clarity, stripping away the distorting fog of unchecked emotions. This skill requires consistent practice, but with each successful application, you're fortifying your mental resilience. Step 3. Actively reclaim and safeguard your inner peace. Understand that peace doesn't equate to becoming passive or indifferent. It means cultivating an unshakable core that remains steady amid chaos. It involves learning to respond with composed, empowered calm rather than knee-jerk panic. It requires accepting that your response is always your personal responsibility, regardless of how unfair or unjust the circumstances may appear. Those who master the art of controlling their reactions become formidable in the most positive sense. Why? Because they can't be easily baited or provoked. They don't disintegrate under pressure or stress. They select their actions with careful deliberation and live life on their own terms, free from external sway. Make no mistake, this is a learnable skill that anyone can develop through dedicated effort. You don't need to be born with a naturally calm disposition. You build it like a muscle, strengthening it with repetition. And every time you choose not to react emotionally, every time you maintain your center in the face of adversity, you're affirming to yourself that you are not defined by your feelings. You are the master who navigates the storm, not the one tossed about by it. So, the next time someone deliberately or inadvertently pushes your buttons, hold this reminder close: their words or actions hold no inherent power over you unless you choose to grant it to them. Their behavior is a reflection of them, not you. but how you choose to respond will always be a direct reflection of your character and growth. If you truly want to fix your life, then stop reacting impulsively to every minor provocation as if your piece were something to be auctioned off to the highest bidder. Instead, approach your responses like a seasoned warrior preparing for battle, deliberate, sharp, and firmly grounded in self-control. Because the individual who owns their reactions ultimately owns their life. To reinforce this, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments: my peace is mine. I will not hand it over. Rule 3. Do the hard things, especially when you don't feel like it. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. Let's cut straight to the chase with some brutal honesty that might sting but is essential to hear. The vast majority of people already know precisely what steps they need to take to radically change and improve their lives for the better. It's things like waking up earlier to maximize productivity, stopping the endless waste of time on trivial activities, severing ties with toxic people who drain your energy, committing to regular exercise for physical and mental health, dedicating time to study and skill building, learning to say no more often to protect your boundaries, speaking up assertively when it matters, and maintaining consistency in your efforts day after day. They intellectually understand all of this, yet they fail to act on it. Why does this happen so frequently? Because these actions are inherently hard and demanding. Because they push you far outside your comfort zone, generating significant discomfort. Because in those pivotal moments, your fleeting feelings and emotions scream out louder than your discipline ever could, drowning out the voice of reason. And therein lies the fundamental problem. The ancient Stoics never sat around waiting for the perfect moment when they felt fully ready or inspired to act. In fact, they proactively trained their minds to anticipate and welcome resistance, viewing discomfort not as an obstacle but as a powerful forge that tempers and strengthens character. They profoundly understood that if your actions are perpetually tethered to your ever-changing emotions, you'll never construct a life of true meaning, fulfillment, or lasting achievement. And if we're being completely transparent here, you won't always feel like doing what's right or necessary. You won't always feel enthusiastic about showing up for yourself or others. You won't always be brimming with motivation that propels you forward effortlessly. That's the raw reality of human experience. But here's the crucial distinction that separates a weak, stagnant person from a strong, evolving one. The weak individual passively waits for motivation to strike like lightning, while the strong one relies on the steadfast pillar of discipline to carry them through. Motivation is inherently emotional. It's a temporary mood, a fleeting high that comes and goes unpredictably. Discipline, on the other hand, is a conscious decision, a commitment you make regardless of how you feel in the moment. And every single time you deliberately choose to tackle the hard thing, especially on those days when every fiber of your being resists it, you're constructing layers of mental armor that protect you from future setbacks. You're sending a clear message to your mind: I don't need to feel perfect or ideal to act with purpose and power. Going to the gym even when you're bone tired? That's a significant victory in building resilience. Engaging in that tough, uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding? That's authentic personal growth in action. Making the deliberate decision to step away from familiar comforts and confront your deepest fears head-on? That's the embodiment of real, unyielding strength. Seneca wisely observed, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Consider how many potential battles you've already lost purely in the arena of your mind, before you even attempted to fight them in the real world. How many goals and aspirations have you delayed or abandoned, not because they were objectively impossible, but simply because pursuing them felt too uncomfortable or intimidating at the time? If you're serious about fixing your life, you must stop fearing and avoiding discomfort. Instead, start actively chasing it, leaning into it with intention. Because the challenges and difficulties you evade today inevitably transform into the heavy regrets you'll carry with you tomorrow, weighing down your spirit. Here's an undeniable truth: you'll never feel completely ready to make the sweeping changes your life needs. There will always be some convenient reason or excuse to postpone action until tomorrow or next week. But the hidden cost of that perpetual waiting is irreplaceable years of your life that you'll never reclaim. So, what should you do in the face of this? Wake up each day and commit to doing the work anyway, even if your mind puts up fierce resistance, even if the process feels profoundly unfair or overwhelming, even if no one is there to applaud or recognize your efforts. You don't need external applause or validation. You don't require perfect, ideal conditions to begin. You simply need to show up and do the damn work, no matter what. And when your body screams to quit, when your emotions start whining and complaining, when your thoughts flood with doubt and second-guessing, that's precisely the moment to push even harder, to dig deeper into your reserves. Because it's in those exact crucibles of struggle that true strength is forged and born. Always remember this choice you face. You can opt for the pain of discipline in the present moment, or you can defer it and inevitably face the far greater pain of regret later on down the line. But make no mistake, you will experience suffering either way. The key is choosing the path of suffering that actively builds and leads to the life you genuinely desire and deserve. Stop searching for shortcuts that promise quick fixes without effort. Stop expecting the journey to be easy or painless. Real, meaningful change is often ugly and messy in its process. It's frequently lonely, requiring you to walk the path in solitude. It's inherently painful as you shed old layers of yourself. But it's also profoundly worth every ounce of that struggle. Every hard thing you confront and conquer today paves the way for a smoother, more rewarding future tomorrow. Every instance of resistance you overcome now becomes a triumphant story of pride and accomplishment that you can look back on with satisfaction. To embrace this, drop this affirmation in the comments: I choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. Rule 4. Cut the noise and master your focus. If you are everywhere, you are nowhere. Seneca. Let's confront this head-on. We exist in a modern world that's relentlessly screaming at us from all angles, demanding our attention without pause. Think about the constant barrage, push notifications popping up on your devices, endless streams of messages from apps and emails, sensational headlines designed to hook you, idle gossip from social circles, aggressive advertisements vying for your wallet, urgent warnings about global events, unsolicited opinions from every corner of the internet, and a myriad of other distractions that fragment your day. You're being pulled in 100 different directions simultaneously, and then you scratch your head wondering why you feel perpetually anxious, directionless, and profoundly disconnected from yourself and your goals. But here's the unfiltered truth you need to grasp: you simply cannot fix or rebuild your life if your mind remains scattered and unfocused, jumping from one thing to the next without depth. One of the most brutal yet liberating Stoic rules is this: you must guard and protect your focus as if your very life depends on it, because, in many ways, it does. The Stoics weren't merely advocates for stoic silence and inner strength, they were masters of mental clarity and purposeful attention. Marcus Aurelius captured this essence in his Meditations when he wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness." Notice he didn't advocate for multitasking or scattering your energy, he emphasized deep, deliberate focus on the task at hand. Now, reflect honestly on your own daily life. How often are you fully, undividedly present in whatever you're doing, without your mind wandering elsewhere? How frequently do you prioritize creating value and progress over mindlessly consuming content that adds nothing? How many precious hours slip away each day to meaningless activities like aimless scrolling through feeds, overanalyzing insignificant details, or succumbing to distractions that do nothing to foster your growth? The issue extends beyond just divided attention. It's about where that attention is being directed, because that's precisely where your energy, your time, and your untapped potential are flowing as well. And here's a brutal truth that few are willing to admit or confront: most people aren't genuinely addicted to laziness in the traditional sense. They're hooked on the constant noise and stimulation that fills every quiet moment. They can't tolerate sitting alone with their thoughts in silence. They can't sustain productive work without checking their phone every 5 minutes for updates. They can't commit to a single path or pursuit long enough to achieve mastery or see meaningful results. If this sounds like you, please don't take it as harsh judgment. View it instead as an urgent warning sign. Because a mind that's chronically distracted inevitably leads to a life that's wasted, full of untapped potential and unfulfilled dreams. So, how do you begin to rectify this and reclaim your focus? Step 1. Ruthlessly cut out the digital noise that's infiltrating your life. Turn off all non-essential notifications that don't serve your priorities, set strict and enforceable time blocks for social media usage to prevent it from consuming your day, and treat your phone as a purposeful tool rather than an electronic leash that controls you. Step 2. Intentionally create sacred, uninterrupted spaces in your schedule dedicated to deep, immersive focus. Even if it's just 60 minutes a day at first, commit to it fully. No distractions, no multitasking, just you immersed in your most important work or reflection. This is the fertile ground where true clarity emerges and where self-respect begins to flourish as you honor your commitments. Step 3. Approach training your attention as you would strengthening a muscle, through consistent, progressive exercise. Practice being fully present in even the simplest daily activities, such as eating a meal mindfully, walking without your phone, reading a book without interruptions, or writing with undivided attention. The more you engage in this practice, the stronger and more reliable your focus becomes. Remember, the world will always attempt to seize and divert your attention with its endless temptations, but you hold the ultimate power to decide what truly deserves it and what doesn't. A true Stoic doesn't chase after every shiny object or fleeting interest. A Stoic chooses their focus deliberately and intentionally. Because a person with mastered focus becomes dangerous in the most empowering way, they possess the capacity to build empires, improve themselves continuously, grow in wisdom, and lead others effectively. Let me emphasize this: your ability to fix and elevate your life is directly proportional to your skill in focusing on what genuinely matters amidst the chaos. The distractions will never cease, the noise will always surround you. But if you can master your attention and direct it purposefully, you can master your entire world. Starting today, eliminate the meaningless clutter, silence the overwhelming noise, and channel your energy exclusively toward the pursuits that actively construct your desired future. To commit to this, drop this affirmation in the comments: I control my focus. My attention builds my future. Rule 5. Stop seeking approval. You don't need permission to grow. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Marcus Aurelius. Allow that quote to hit you squarely in the gut and linger there for a moment, forcing you to confront its uncomfortable truth. We all profess to desire personal growth. We claim we want to become stronger, more independent, and emotionally untouchable. Yet, in practice, we often hesitate, second-guess ourselves, and shrink back from opportunities. Why does this self-sabotage occur so frequently? Because we're paralyzed by the fear of what others might think or say about us. Because we crave being liked and accepted above all else. Because we subconsciously seek external permission before daring to take bold steps forward. But here's the harsh reality that Stoicism compels us to face and accept: the world at large doesn't particularly care about your untapped potential or your dreams, and crucially, you don't require its approval or validation to pursue them anyway. You simply cannot fix or advance your life if you're perpetually waiting for others to applaud or endorse every decision you make. Because here's an unspoken truth that few discuss openly: the more you commit to self-improvement and elevate yourself, the more resistance and pushback you'll encounter, not necessarily from outright enemies, but often from the people closest to you in your inner circle. Why is that? Because your personal growth inadvertently makes them uncomfortable. Your newfound discipline shines a spotlight on their own laziness or complacency. Your growing confidence threatens to disrupt their established comfort zones where everything remains predictable. And in response, what do they typically do? They mock your efforts, express doubt in your abilities, or subtly try to pull you back down to the familiar version of yourself that they can easily understand and control. But a true Stoic does not live their life with the primary goal of pleasing or appeasing others. A Stoic aligns their existence with timeless virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice, rather than chasing fleeting approval. They prioritize truth and integrity over superficial popularity. Epictetus taught this lesson clearly: if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This means that if your fears of appearing weird, being misunderstood by others, or having to stand alone in your convictions are holding you back, you'll never rise above your current level. You'll remain stuck in averageness, silenced by insecurity, trapped in stagnation just to maintain a facade of acceptance from those around you. But let me deliver some brutal honesty that's liberating once embraced. No one is coming to rescue you from your current state. No one is under any obligation to believe in your vision or potential. No one can grant you the permission to step into and become the person you're destined to be, except for you, through your own decisive actions. The transformative moment arrives when you finally stop needing external approval. That's when you unlock true power, because you no longer wait for signals, you act boldly. You no longer beg for validation, you build your reality. You no longer feel compelled to explain or justify every choice, you simply evolve and grow. So what if others laugh at your new habits or routines? So what if they fail to understand your newly set boundaries, your periods of intentional silence, or your intense dedication to self-growth? You're not living to be fully understood or approved by those with small-minded perspectives. You're here to cultivate an unshakable foundation within yourself. And if traversing this path of growth means walking it in solitude at times, then embrace that loneliness with pride, because the road to genuine greatness has always been a solitary one, traveled by those willing to forge ahead alone. Yet, it's also the most honest path, the most rewarding in its outcomes, and the most freeing in the sense of liberation it provides from external chains. So, stop waiting for the green light from others. Stop apologizing for your ambitions. Stop explaining yourself endlessly to those who don't get it. You don't need their approval to validate your worth. You don't need their validation to confirm your direction. You just need to make the firm decision that you're done playing small and settling for less than you deserve. To affirm this shift, drop this in the comments: I don't need approval to grow. I give myself permission. Rule 6: Silence is a power. Speak less, master more. Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words. Epictetus. We inhabit a world where everyone seems desperate to be heard above the din, yet precious few are willing to truly listen and absorb. Where individuals strive to appear wise and knowledgeable through constant talking, but far fewer invest the time and effort required to actually become wise through reflection and learning. The inevitable result? An endless cacophony of noise, superficial opinions thrown around without depth, and lives that remain shallow and unexamined. But the Stoics penetrated to a deeper understanding of human dynamics. Silence isn't a sign of weakness or timidity, it's a form of mastery and control. Why is this the case? Because the person who chooses to speak less naturally listens more intently, learns at an accelerated pace, responds thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively, and retains power by not dissipating their energy through unnecessary words. If you want to fix and fortify your mind, then you must learn to master control over your tongue and the words that flow from it. Not every situation or provocation requires your immediate reaction or input. Not every person you encounter deserves a detailed explanation of your thoughts or decisions. Not every passing thought or opinion that crosses your mind needs to be vocalized and shared aloud with the world. In fact, the more you speak freely and excessively, the more you inadvertently reveal your hidden fears, your underlying insecurities, your strategic plans, and even your personal weaknesses that others could exploit. But when you embrace silence as a deliberate choice, people find it difficult to read or predict you, and that mystery grants you a distinct advantage and power. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. And one of the first areas to gain mastery over is your mouth, as it's a primary gateway for losing control. Because here's the insidious trap many fall into: when you're constantly talking, justifying your actions, proving your worth to others, defending yourself against perceived slights, you're living in a reactive mode, responding to the world's demands instead of proactively creating your own path. Let others chase the spotlight of attention and validation through verbosity. Let them expend their energy on superficial chatter. You, on the other hand, stay silent when it serves you, remain focused on your objectives, and move forward with quiet strength. Now, it's important to clarify that silence doesn't equate to passivity or withdrawal from life. It means cultivating a calculated, intentional presence. It involves saying less overall but ensuring that what you do say carries more weight, meaning, and impact. It means allowing your actions to speak volumes, 10 times louder and more convincingly than any words ever could. Silence also serves as a protective shield. It safeguards your energy from being drained in pointless arguments or debates. It preserves your dignity by preventing emotional outbursts that you might regret, and it keeps your strategies and intentions hidden from those who don't need to know them. So, how do you begin to master this powerful tool? Step 1. Become comfortable with not responding immediately to everything. Not every message or email demands an instant reply. Not every insult or criticism warrants a comeback that could escalate tensions. Allow time to pass and let the situation resolve itself naturally. Step 2. Grow accustomed to being misunderstood by others. Silence teaches you to be at peace with the fact that not everyone will get you or your motivations, and that's okay. You don't need to constantly clear your name or defend your reputation. Instead, focus on building a name worth defending through consistent actions. Step 3. Shift your energy from performing for an audience to genuinely becoming the best version of yourself. While others expend effort trying to look powerful through words, you dedicate yourself to actually becoming powerful through deeds. While they broadcast their goals and intentions loudly, you work diligently in the shadows, letting results emerge organically. The Stoic path isn't one of loud proclamations or flashy displays. It's rooted in discipline, unwavering focus, and intentional living, all of which begin with the strategic use of silence. So, stop oversharing details of your life that invite unnecessary judgment. Stop giving away your inner peace through reactive speech. Stop leaking your precious energy through careless words that serve no purpose. Instead, let your silence unsettle the insecure around you. Let your silence eloquently communicate your inner strength. Let your silence evolve into your greatest superpower. If you're ready to take this step and master your tongue, drop this affirmation in the comments. I will let silence speak for my strength. Rule 7. Own your mistakes without shame or excuses. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Seneca. It's a universal truth that everyone makes mistakes. We all mess up at some point, fall short of our own expectations, and accumulate regrets along the way. The pivotal difference between a life that's perpetually broken and one that's successfully rebuilt boils down to this fundamental choice. Do you confront your mistakes head-on like a resilient warrior, or do you flee from them like a coward avoiding accountability? Unfortunately, most people opt for the latter path. They shift blame onto others or external factors, concoct elaborate excuses to justify their failures, and bury the truth under layers of distraction, outright denial, or superficial fake positivity that masks the underlying issues. But Stoicism demands that we face reality in its full brutality and completeness, without flinching or evasion, because the only authentic way to become unbreakable is to first cultivate radical honesty with yourself. Did you waste valuable years entangled in a toxic relationship that drained your spirit? Own it fully. Did you betray your own core standards and values in a moment of weakness? Own it. Did you engage in lying, cheating, procrastination, or self-sabotaging behaviors that held you back? Own every bit of it, not drowning in debilitating guilt or shame that paralyzes you, but approaching it with raw courage that propels you forward. You see, shame acts as a trap that keeps you mired in the past, unable to move. True ownership, however, is the key that sets you free to learn and evolve. Owning your mistakes doesn't mean wallowing in endless regret or self-punishment. It means standing tall amid the wreckage and declaring with conviction, "Yes, I failed here. But now, I rise from these ashes, wiser and stronger, and I vow never to repeat those errors." Seneca reminds us poignantly that every trial we endure, every error we commit, every scar we bear is an indispensable part of the journey toward becoming the refined person we were meant to be. Stop hiding your wounds and vulnerabilities as if they're shameful secrets. They are, in fact, your hard-earned proof that you've lived fully, struggled through adversity, and emerged with valuable lessons. Stop striving for an illusion of perfection, as that unattainable ideal is the true enemy of genuine growth and progress. Instead, cultivate a level of radical self-honesty. That might make you flinch initially but ultimately fuels your transformation into something greater. Here's the hard, inescapable truth. You cannot possibly fix your life if you persist in rewriting or distorting your past to make yourself feel temporarily better or less accountable. So, stand firmly in the fire of your own unvarnished truth, embracing it without reservation. Take full, unshared responsibility, not just for the mistakes of your past, but for the conscious choices you make right now to become better. No more fabricated stories to soften the blow, no more lies to yourself or others, no more avoiding the mirror that reflects your flaws. Own it all completely, and then rise above it with renewed purpose. If you're ready to embrace this level of ownership, drop this in the comments: I own my past and I rise with purpose. Rule 8. Discomfort is your teacher. Stop running from it. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. Epictetus. Let me share something with you that has the potential to fundamentally change your life if you allow it to take root. Discomfort is not your adversary to be feared or avoided at all costs. It's your wise teacher, your rigorous test, and your gateway to breakthrough growth. But observe what most people do instinctively the moment discomfort arises in any form. They run from it as fast as they can, seeking immediate escape through various distractions or numbing agents. When silence and solitude creep in, they blast music or turn on the TV to fill the void. When sadness or emotional pain surfaces, they reach for comfort food, superficial relationships, or mindless entertainment to dull the edge. When uncertainty looms large, they spiral into panic, overthinking every possibility until they're paralyzed. But here's the profound truth that Stoics embraced: real growth and development reside on the far side of discomfort, waiting for those brave enough to cross through it. The Stoics didn't aspire to lives of constant ease and pleasure. They actively sought out strength and resilience, knowing that inner fortitude was the only reliable tool for navigating a world rife with unpredictability and chaos. Just as you can't build physical muscles without first tearing and stressing them through rigorous training, you can't construct a robust mind without enduring and learning from hardship. And you'll never attain genuine peace if you keep suppressing or evading the emotions that are demanding to be acknowledged and processed. So, cease your attempts to escape every uncomfortable moment that life presents. Instead, learn to sit with it patiently, to explore it curiously. Ask yourself introspective questions like, what is this discomfort trying to teach me right now? What specific strength or insight is this pain attempting to build within me? Because every heartbreak you endure, every failure you experience, every delay that tests your patience, or every rejection that stings, none of these are random punishments inflicted upon you. They are deliberate preparations, honing you for greater things ahead. The Stoic mindset isn't centered on always feeling good or maintaining a constant state of happiness. It's about becoming good, virtuous, and capable, even when circumstances feel overwhelmingly bad or challenging. Marcus Aurelius, who faced immense trials like plagues, wars, betrayals, and personal losses throughout his life, still wrote with clarity, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about achieving a level of clarity that cuts through excuses. Discomfort isn't present in your life to destroy or diminish you. It's there to reshape and elevate you, but only if you stop running and hiding from it. Only if you meet it directly with a blend of courage and humility, allowing it to do its work. So, the next time discomfort arises and it hurts, whether physically, emotionally, or mentally, remind yourself firmly, this moment isn't designed for your comfort. It's engineered to make you stronger, more adaptable, and wiser. And here's the beautiful payoff: when you finally stop fearing discomfort and begin to embrace it as an ally, you become truly unstoppable, capable of handling whatever life throws your way. If you're done running from the very things that foster your growth, drop this affirmation in the comments: discomfort is my teacher. I no longer run. Music. Rule 9. Discipline is greater than motivation. Build it daily. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Let me pose a challenging question that cuts to the core. Are you truly free in your life, or are you merely being driven and tossed about by your ever-shifting emotions? Because here's a fundamental misunderstanding that trips up most people. Genuine freedom doesn't stem from impulsively doing whatever you want in the moment, chasing fleeting desires. True freedom emerges from consistently doing what you must, what aligns with your values and long-term goals, especially on those days when you absolutely don't feel like it. That unwavering commitment is called discipline, and it's the defining factor that separates the weak from the strong, the mere dreamers from the actual doers, the empty talkers from the dedicated builders who achieve results. Motivation is inherently tied to emotions. It's a transient mood, a temporary surge of energy or enthusiasm, a high that feels exhilarating but inevitably fades away like mist in the morning sun. Discipline, by contrast, is a structured system you build and rely on. It's the reliable force that shows up faithfully even when you feel depleted or uninspired. Discipline is what propels you out of bed when motivation softly whispers temptations like, "Just sleep in a little longer." Discipline ensures you show up for your commitments even on your worst days, when everything feels off. The Stoics internalized and mastered this timeless truth with remarkable depth. They rigorously trained their minds to disregard emotions when those feelings proved useless or counterproductive to their aims. They constructed daily routines, upheld core values, and pursued virtues not based on momentary moods or how they happened to feel that day, but grounded in the vision of who they aspired to become over the long haul. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who continued to fulfill his duties as emperor amid profound grief, exhaustion, and unrelenting pressure from all sides. He didn't pause to wait for perfect emotional conditions or ideal feelings to align. He simply did the work that needed to be done. Why? Because he recognized that duty and purpose always supersede fleeting feelings. This is a cornerstone Stoic rule, and it's the mechanism through which lives are profoundly transformed and elevated. If you're committed to fixing yourself and your circumstances, stop wasting time chasing superficial motivation hacks like inspirational quotes or quick-fix techniques that provide only temporary boosts. Instead, start methodically developing and nurturing daily discipline as a habit. Establish routines like waking up at the same consistent time each morning, moving your body through exercise regardless of your energy levels, controlling your diet with mindful choices, dedicating time to learning and skill development every day, maintaining sharp focus on priorities, practicing meditation for mental clarity, and reflecting on your actions at the end of each day. Admittedly, this approach can seem boring, repetitive, and far from glamorous or exciting, but it works reliably, and it systematically builds unshakable character. You won't always feel enthusiastic or motivated to follow through every single day, and that's perfectly normal. The key is to show up and execute anyway, because discipline is the steadfast companion that carries you forward precisely when motivation vanishes into thin air. And once you master the art of discipline, you'll no longer need to depend on external inspiration or perfect moods to take action, because you've evolved into the type of person who advances relentlessly, no matter the internal or external conditions. That's the essence of real power. That's the foundation of deep self-respect. That's the heart of Stoicism in practice. To embrace this, drop this in the comments: discipline is my anchor. I build it every day. Rule 10. Stop living in your head, live in alignment with your actions, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. B1. Marcus Aurelius. It's remarkably easy to get lost in the realm of thoughts, to think deeply about improvement, to imagine vivid scenarios of success, to dream endlessly of becoming better, stronger, and wiser versions of ourselves. But none of that mental activity, no matter how elaborate or inspiring, actually changes your life in tangible ways. What does create real change? Purposeful action, and not just any random or scattered activity, but actions that are fully aligned with your stated values, intentions, and goals. The Stoics held a firm belief that philosophy wasn't merely an intellectual exercise to ponder or debate in abstract terms. It was a practical way of life to be embodied and lived out daily. A true Stoic doesn't just discuss concepts like self-control in theoretical conversations, they actively practice it in the quiet moments when no one is watching. A Stoic doesn't merely post online about aspiring to peace and discipline, they live those principles authentically, even in solitude or adversity. That's the power of alignment between words and deeds. Yet, most people unwittingly live divided lives. One version exists solely in their minds, brimming with lofty goals, crystal-clear visions, and profound wisdom. The other manifests in reality, riddled with contradictions, endless excuses, and a fog of confusion that undermines progress. They proclaim they want inner peace, but then engage in gossip, complaints, and drama that stirs unrest. They assert they desire growth and development, but then procrastinate endlessly and scroll through distractions instead of taking steps forward. They claim to aspire to Stoic ideals, but in practice, they behave like slaves to their unchecked emotions, reacting impulsively. Here's the brutal, unyielding truth: it doesn't matter how much knowledge you accumulate or how wise you sound. If your daily actions consistently contradict your professed beliefs, all that wisdom amounts to nothing more than hollow words. If you truly want to fix your life, then stop performing for an audience or pretending to be something you're not. Stop merely talking about change and start embodying it in every aspect of your existence. You already know deep down what needs to be done. Now, commit to doing it without delay. If you say you're embracing Stoicism, then train your emotions diligently every day through practice. If you value your time as precious, then stop wasting it on pursuits that don't serve you. If you claim to be focused and purposeful, then demonstrate it unequivocally through your choices and behaviors. Don't chase an unattainable ideal of perfection that leads to paralysis. Chase alignment, where your values and actions harmonize seamlessly. Because it's in that state of alignment that you feel truly whole, integrated, and at peace with yourself. That's where authentic self-respect takes root and grows. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste time philosophizing about the qualities of an ideal man in endless debates. He cut to the chase: be one. Not at some vague point in the future, not when conditions are convenient or ideal, right now, in this present moment. So, from this instant forward, whenever you feel confused or uncertain, pause and ask yourself, what would the strongest, most aligned version of me do in this exact situation? Then, without hesitation, do precisely that. Let the story of your life speak louder and more convincingly than any words you could utter. Let your unwavering consistency replace the need for external applause or recognition. Let your quiet, steadfast alignment render you untouchable to doubt or distraction. Because when your actions fully match your values, you become formidable, not in a threatening way to others, but in conquering your own weaknesses and limitations. If you're ready to bridge the gap and live in true alignment, drop this in the comments: I will live as the person I claim to be. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Epictetus. Conclusion: now, you've been walked through these 10 brutal Stoic rules designed to fix your life, not the watered-down, feel-good rules you might encounter in typical self-help books or superficial motivational talks, but the kind that shatter comforting illusions and painstakingly build unbreakable character from the ground up. If you take these rules to heart and apply them consistently, not just intellectually understanding them but living them out in your daily choices, you'll cease living as a passive victim, at the mercy of your volatile emotions and unpredictable environment. You'll stop being tossed around by every distraction that crosses your path, every fleeting feeling that arises, every setback that threatens to derail you. Instead, you'll begin living as the ancient Stoics did, not devoid of emotions, but emotionally unshakable and resilient in the face of them, not flawless or perfect, but deeply aligned with your core principles, not always vocal or attention-seeking, but radiating an unmistakable power through quiet strength and purposeful action. And always keep this in mind: this Stoic path isn't meant to be easy or comfortable, it's intentionally challenging, designed to test and refine you. But it's also the only path that reliably leads to a life filled with profound self-respect, crystal-clear mental clarity, and the true inner freedom that comes from self-mastery. So now, the ball is in your court, it's your move to make. Don't allow this video to become just another transient wave of motivation that surges through you today only to fade into oblivion by tomorrow morning. Instead, select one rule that resonates most deeply with you right now, and commit to applying it actively today in a real-world situation. Then, tomorrow, do it again, and again, building momentum over time. Fix your mind as the priority, and watch as your life transforms in its wake. The Stoics have bequeathed us this timeless blueprint for living well. Now, it's entirely up to you to take it and construct a sturdy, meaningful structure upon it. If this video has ignited a fire within you, a genuine spark for change, solidify that by dropping this final affirmation in the comments: I fix my mind. I fix my life. And if you're hungry for more wisdom like this, show your support by liking the video, leaving a comment below with your thoughts or experiences, sharing it with someone in your life who's ready for authentic growth and transformation, and subscribing to the channel for ongoing content that turns ancient truths into practical, modern strength. Let's commit to growing together, one deliberate step at a time.